Geometry lesson on triangle inequalities. Okay, let's start with the definition, guys. So here we go. The sum of any two sides length of triangle is greater than the third side. In other words, like AB plus BC, any two sides has to be bigger than AC, or BC and AC has to be bigger than AB, and then AC and AB has to be bigger than BC, right? Otherwise, it's not a triangle. To give you an extreme example, how about this? If you have this length over here, and these are the two sides. So these two sides right here and here are simply too short. Even if you fall flat over here, it will barely make it. But you're like, Mr. Yeah, I know, this is actually less. What if they're equal to each other? What happens? Well, if they're equal to each other, this might happen. So you might have one that goes like this, and then another one that just barely touches, right? It can't be propped up. It has to be propped up like a tent, right? So in order to do that, these two sides has to be longer than the base, right? So any two sides has to be longer than the third side. And this is a very, very, very important theorem in geometry or all of mathematics, by the way, right? So that's called triangle inequality theorem. All right, guys? All right. All right, let's continue. And what this one says is that if two sides of the triangles are not congruent, then the larger angle is opposite the longer side. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a second. All right. Let's say AC is bigger than BC. Let's denote it by saying 2 tick marks versus 1 tick mark. It's not necessarily the case. In this particular instance, let us say that greater the number of tick mark means that it's longer, right? So what this is saying is that if you have, let's say ABC, where this is bigger, that implies with the same exact triangle, then side opposite it, B, in this case, is larger than angle A. The opposite side is bigger. Yep. I mean, you could kind of see that, right? All right, guys. So let's try a couple of different problems over here. Using this information, determine whether a triangle can be formed given this. So we just have to say, okay, 12 plus 4. That's 16, isn't it? That's bigger. Check. How about 12 plus 15? Is that bigger? Check. You see, you actually don't have to do that because 15 is larger than this by itself. So you don't even have to do that, okay? How about the other one? 15 greater than 12? Of course it is. The fact that you have to add 4 doesn't really matter. So the only thing that you have to really check, to be completely honest with you, right, is adding the two small numbers. Two small numbers, is that bigger than the longest one? If you have the longer one there, it's already bigger than either one, so it will always be true. So practically speaking, what you want to do is, one that you really want to check is do two smaller lengths needed to be added to see question mark, is that bigger than the longest? Practically speaking, that's what you're looking for, okay? The other two is obviously true, but you still have to show it though, right? Sounds good? All right. So now the question is, find the range of possibilities. Now, we could go through the entire argument again, but we really don't have to. But we're going to do that anyways. Let's do that. So we're going to say x has to be, oopsie, let me go with blue. Okay. So x has to be, sorry, let's try it again. Sum of the any two sides, right? So 5 and 12 has to be bigger than x. Then 5 plus x has to be bigger than 12. And 12 plus x has to be bigger than 5. We know this is true because 12 itself is already bigger than 5, so we don't care. Check, we know that already. How about this one over here? So that implies that x has to be less than 15 plus 12, which implies that 17 is bigger than the third number. In this particular case, subtract 5 from both sides, x is greater than 12 minus 5, and x is greater than 7. I don't know if you noticed this thing over here, guys. Look at that. X is the unknown side. What ended up happening? So this is the answer, but let's go dig deeper, right? What ended up happening? So the X was less than the sum, but larger than the difference of the two numbers. So you could do it that way. So had you done that, right? So that's a shortcut for this, okay? Had you done that like this, right? And you combine them, that's what you end up getting, okay? So here's a good way to remember it, guys. The third number has to be larger than the difference, but less than the sum. If you don't remember that, you got to do all three cases. All right, guys? All right. Let's see if I said it any differently in a previous note. No, pretty much the same thing. Okay. All right. Okay. So here is two more examples. We have to write stuff in the order of the angle measure from the least to the greatest. And we remember that if the side length is shorter, the angle is smaller. So let's do it from the smallest to the largest. This is the smallest one. The medium is 2. The largest is 3. What is the opposite of that? Measure of angle E has to be less than, opposite of the second one, has to be less than the angle F, less than. The largest one is angle D. For each triangle, write the side length in order from the least to the greatest. So it's a converse of the previous example, isn't it? So we have to say from the least to the greatest. So the opposite of the smallest angle, 45 is less than, that's 1, 2, and that's the largest, right? Side opposite it is the smallest length, shortest length, which is AC, is less than. Just quick reminder, if you say segment AC, that's a name, isn't it? When you get rid of the little sign, that is the length of the segment AC. It's a measurement, right? Yeah. And then the medium one is this one, which is BC, and that's less than the largest one, 70, is AB. All right, guys? All right, I think that is it. Yeah, that's it for this page. And then we do have, and this is the work that I did before, very straightforward. And we have your turn, right? You should be able to do this on your own. And if you could do this, I don't know, less than a minute per question, I suppose, you should be good, right? If you could do it under 30 seconds for each one, all the more power to you, okay? But as you're doing them, think about why it works the way it does. Try to remember all that, okay? All right, guys, let me pause the video and I'll show you the answer, I think. I'll show you some of the answers, okay? All right, pause the video, guys. Okay, this is what I have for some of them, right? And whatever I don't show, we could go over in class, right? So seeing this right here, you could probably guess how to do that one, right? Seeing this, you could probably see that, right? I added a too smaller one, right? Right. What happens when you add the too smaller one? So that was the key, right? And then if that's true, show everything else is true as well, all right? And I think knowing this, you could do that, and we just did this, so yeah, let's go over in class, okay? All right, guys, that's it for me today, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. All right, guys? All right. Have a good night.